Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Saturday night here with me, Peter Driver from Biscari Fly. Um, Hope everyone's had a good week. Um, where do we go? Really, every week is kind of blending into the one. Um, but anyway, hope everyone's had a good week, and I see a few people coming there saying quick week. It surely is. Surely is. It feels like it was only yesterday I was here chatting to you all. But I hope you're all keeping well. Hope you're all in the mood for a bit of fun on a Saturday night, a bit of fly tying. How you doing, Neil Hamilton? Dominic's on there. Gavin Howard, Kieran Sherlock, Declan Smith, Darius is on there. Dominic. Hope everybody's keeping well. Stephen Potts, how are you keeping, Stephen? Terry Phillips is on there. How you doing, Terry? Hope you're keeping well. Um, Great to see so many is back on here again every Saturday night. Aidan Gill is on there as well. How you doing, Brian? So many. Liam Long, how you doing, Liam? How's everyone down at Cork? You'll be open up soon enough down there, Liam. You might be even able to get out for a cast. Maybe if this cold spell that's coming in next week is not too bad. Hi, Robbie Berry. Glad you're looking forward to it. We got a great show lined up for you tonight, guys. We got something new. Um, Tonight we will have our first installment of Tackle Talk, where myself and fellow angler have a bit of a conversation, just a nice relaxed conversation about something in particular to do with fishing tackle approaching or whatever. We're going to try and do one of those for these every week on a different aspect, and I kind of go with the theme of a lot of questions that I get asked. Hi, Robbie. Hi, Martin. Darren Duffy's on there as well. How you doing, Darren? Colin O'Gara. But we're going to pick kind of stuff. So, I get asked an awful lot about what's the best indicators and stuff like that we use for modern day nymph and things like that. What do I use? Thanks, John. Michael Callaghan, how you doing? Paul Cal, it surely was a fast week. Tim Sullivan and Jean-Luc is on there. Good to have you on there, Jean-Luc. But so I get asked an awful lot about indicators, what I'm using, and different things. So tonight we're going to have a little bit of a feature there. It's called Tackle Talk, and we're going to start it every week. And this week it's on indicators. So that's coming along later on the show. We have a fantastic guest fly tyer on with us tonight as well, who done an absolute cracking little river dry fly, Little Iron Blue, and he's going to be talking us through that in a little while as well. So we've lots on tonight, and I'm going to fill in the gaps between all them good lads, and I am going to do a little perdigon to start with. I have a really nice kind of fly that I tied a few years ago for locks, an early season lock fly, and I call it the duck fly bumble. We're going to be doing one of those later on. We've got a top Czech pattern coming along as well. My take on one of the top Czech patterns. And we've got, what else have we got coming on there? We got a lovely little dry fly coming on as well. For rivers and lakes. It's one that I'd use on both. But look, stay with us here for the next couple of hours. Relax, pour yourselves a cold one, or like who's there? Dave Buston is on there, and he's just made the tea. Make yourself a cup of tea and sit back and relax, and we're going to get through some fly tying, bit of chatting as always. Most important of all, a bit of fun stuff. Anybody's got any comments, or anybody has anything they want to add or contribute, by all means, put it up in the comment section. Dave will be along tonight as well, I think. We got a nice spot prize there. Dave has got a bit of a trivia for you tonight. So keep an eye out for that one in the comment section. And you might even win yourselves a prize. And as usual, tomorrow I will put up a simple question based on tonight's show, and the winner will win a few flies. Okay, so let's get some time started. Hope everyone's doing well. Hiya, Sarah or Sorka. We've got daddies coming down the road a little bit. Sorka, all right, now not this week, but down the road I have a plan for that. And we'll cover them at some stage. So sit back, relax. If you're online there, hit the share button. Let's get a few folks in here tonight and have a bit of fun, and we'll pass away at another Saturday night. Okay, so I get asked this question a lot. So the last couple of weeks we've been doing, viewers' choice and stuff like that, and getting loads of ideas. And the messages I get every week is just, it's amazing how many people, have stuff they want to see, and it's fantastic. But one I get asked very regularly is, what's my best perdigon? What's a perdigon? What's the one I use most of the time? So I'm going to actually tie that for you now first, okay? Very simple perdigon. Tied similar-ish in different videos and stuff like that. And but I'm going to just talk you through this one, nice easy one to get started with. And a really, probably, definitely, without 100%, my best perdigon from last year. Okay, whatever I was fishing perdigons last year, and a smaller size under dry dropper. So what I've got here is a jig size 16, the Haku jig size 16. And hi Brendan Spillane, hi Bernard Mannion. And Got a jig size 16 and I got a 3mm slotted tungsten bead sitting up in that jig, white. Okay. Last couple of years, I've noticed that white has really come into its own. I don't know how many other people out there fish white tungsten beads, but definitely in the last, I suppose, really since I started using them, I've realised how good they are. So I'd always say my top 4 tungsten bead colours are, copper, gold, silver, black, nickel. And then in a very, very close fifth is white. And as the year seasons go on, the more I'm fishing with it, the more I'm working on it and working on patterns with white. And white bead is an absolute, it's a must in your box now at this stage. Like Christopher Kernich, I do. Christopher is wondering where I sell materials. I have a website called www.piscarifly.com. You can go on there, and most of the materials that I use is on there. How you doing, Alan Lawless? Steve Livingston is on there and saying he loves the white bead too. Yeah, cracking bead to use. So I've had a lot of success last year on this particular Perdigon. Got an awful lot of sea trout on the Nor on it as well as a dry dropper set up during the day. How you doing, Dylan Roberts is back on there again from the Welsh Tea. So we're going to start off with a little bit of white Tommy Fly UV reflective tying thread, and I'm going to add in a little bit of cocktail yarn as a tail there. It's a dark cocktail yarn that I'm going to put in there. So I hope everyone's had a good week. We got a nice belt of weather coming in, so plenty of snow on the way, I think, this week. My 2-year-old and my 4-year-old will be very happy to see a good fall of snow. I'm sure I'll have to spend most of the week out in it, pushing them up and down hills and making snowmen and stuff, but how bad, it'll pass it. So I'm just going to put a little holographic butt here. So I got that fine holographic red Hank from Hens, and I'm just putting in a little fine holographic butter. And then just tie it off with it. That's right, Alan. Alan Allis just on there, and he said that Peter Doherty won a hard session on a home nations competition with the white bead, and I think in 2015. And if I'm not mistaken, Alan Allis, Peter was crowned the champion that same competition, wasn't he? Yeah, absolutely. White beads, they are something, guys, that if you're not fishing them, definitely get your hands on some. We have them on the web store and have them ready for this season. Well worth it. Even a white bead pheasant tail is fantastic as well, Paul Cal, do you use different parts of the cocktail yarn for different nymphs? Not really, Paul. It depends on the colour. If I'm tying some lighter coloured nymphs, I might use some of the lighter coloured feathers, or I use a medium or a light parader. But for most of my nymphs, I kind of stick to the dark, and I just go through it. It's kind of a thing. So what I'm going to do now is just add in a bit of black Tommy Fly there as well. So most of you will probably have seen me do this nymph, or I have tied it for you, or you have seen it. I think I might have done a video on something very similar. But it's just to tie it and kind of talk you through, because I just get asked so many times over the last 2 weeks, what's your best nymphs, what's your best Perdigon, can you tie us your, talk us through it. So this has been over the last 2 seasons, definitely. Now I have some other black and silvers. I tend to keep a lot of the Perdigons I fish black. I think just here in Irish waters, it's just something that's a real popular kind of, good colour, that works, that gives me personal confidence in that Perdigon. Whether the colour makes a difference of the body or not, that's debatable. You all know my opinion on that. I think the bead is probably far more important than what's on the body. But for me personally, and for my personal confidence, the black body is quite good. So I have a nice smooth coat, and you see that Tommy Fly gets a lovely smooth coat on that. Okay, John Stewart's on and says that he likes so Peter Doherty was the Brown Bowl winner that year. Congratulations, Peter, for achievement. I think Team Ireland won it as well, actually, that year. So it was a good win for the Irish that year. I know if we have any Scottish guys on there tonight. Anyone celebrating from Scotland? Big win for the Scottish tonight. Hard luck, England. Definitely, I don't think too many people were expecting that result, but well done, Scotland. Well done, France. Big game on tomorrow for us Irish guys. So let's hope the boys in green turn up and give you Welsh lads a run for your money. Dylan Roberts. Great to see a bit of Six Nations back on. So I'm just spinning that white. That white thread there, the white Tommy Fly, to get it nice and fine and get it. Stephen Livingston's on there and has put up 2 Scottish flags. Well done, Stephen. So just to get it nice and fine, I want to kind of make it a nice little rib, and I'm going to just rib up that nymph, as you can see quite closely. It almost looks like a quill. And that's the one thing about this Tommy Fly stuff. You see, once we spin it, how tight we can get that and how fine it is. That you just don't achieve with other flashes over that black. And they also then, something I've often mentioned before, is that when I put UV resin over that, it doesn't lose. John Stewart's on there as well, man, John, from Scotland. It doesn't lose its intensity and colour like some other flosses might when you put resin and stuff over it. So that Tommy Fly stuff is really good for doing perdigons. A couple of turns of the black thread over the top just to secure in that. I'm just going to get in there and nick that away. Whip finish. 1 or 2 turns just in there behind the bead. And that's the main part of the fly. Very simple little pattern. Little holographic red arse, Tommy Fly back and white. Doesn't get much easier. Now I'm going to put a little bit of resin on. So as usual, I have my little brush here. Make sure it's clean. I have my little tub of resin here to one side. And I get out a nice little chunk of resin. And I just give that a coat to start with. Just taking my time, not lashing it on. Nice little coat of it. Oh, remember, perdigons, they're designed to penetrate, so we want to keep them as slim and as sleek as possible. I go man, Dylan. Dylan says he supports anyone that's Wales and plays against the English. But so one nice little coat of that there to start with. A little bit of a UV laser pen. Give it a snap. I actually had a couple of people on to me during the week. They're having a problem with their resins clouding up and stuff like that once they put it on. And it actually turned out it was their torches. Some of the torches that are out there, they're just not great because they're a bulb. It's a torch. It's a light, not a laser. And I do recommend that if you're gonna go with a laser pen, they're absolutely set it like glass. And those couple of guys got their laser pens off us there during the week, and we got a message back off them straight away to say absolute top. It made the difference. So now you can use a little bit of black. Kieran Sherlock is on there. Kieran, and he thinks that we should ask Peter to do the blind flow challenge next week. And you know what, Kieran? I've already been asked to do it a few times. Ollie Farr and a few lads were on to me there during the week. Now, because I had this week's plan, I wasn't going to interrupt this week's plan. But definitely next week, I'm going to do the blind flow challenge next week, which is, I think, is tying black pennel. You got to tie a black pennel blindfolded. So we're going to do that live here. And so Stephen Livingston's on there, and he said it is a difference, a good difference. So look at him. You can use a little bit of black UV resin here as the kind of the spot on the back, or you can use, if anyone got the black mica powder, they can mix up a little bit of black. I use a Sharpie. Okay, use a little Sharpie there just to put on that little trademark spot on the back of the head of that bead. As you can see, and I'm going to just re-resin that again. So next week I'm going to do that live challenge blindfold, and give you all a good giggle next Saturday night. How much of a mess I'm going to make of it. But anyway, it's a bit of fun. See a good few guys doing it there, and I have been asked to do it. I was asked a couple of times during the week would I do it. So I said, yep, I'll do it live next week. It's just I had the show planned this week, so I said I'll stick with the show and let you all know that's coming next week, so you can all be ready for a good chuckle next week. So nice bit of resin over that again, just to taper off the rest of the body. John Walsh, oh man, John, do a one-handed black pennel would be more crack. Would be crack, all right, John. Yeah. I say I need an extra couple of beers in for that one, John. If any haven't seen, guys, actually one of our regular viewers there, John Walsh has an album out at the moment. I think it's called Irlande, John, is it? If you want to stick up your link there, John, to your website, very good album. And getting a lot of coverage there on Lyric FM and stuff like that, and getting a lot of recognition at the moment. But well done, John. Congratulations on getting the album out. Everyone check it out. But there we go. You want to know what was my best perdigon in last year? That's it right there. That's the most effective one. That's the most effective perdigon I had definitely in the last season. Fished the starfishing a couple of seasons ago, but really done a lot of work on it last year, and was absolutely fantastic. That's what man Tom Anktel reckons I should do. I should do a clink blindfold and put Davy McPhail to shame. Oh jeez, I don't know. I think the black penalty will be hard enough now. Blindfolded. God knows what I'll end up doing, especially with all the cameras and everything around here. So don't be surprised next week when I'm doing blindfold channel. If cameras get knocked over and stuff like that as well, I'll have to try and figure out how I'm going to do all the camera work that night. But that's going to come next week anyway. But there we go, guys and girls. If you're looking for my top Perdigon, that's the one from last year. Now, I'm not going to say I'm not a lover of Perdigons. I did definitely work in the right conditions and in the right, the right conditions and the right time of your match. There's no question they have a place in your box. If I had to choose, I asked that question for a long time, or I asked that question as a kind of poll on Facebook a long time ago. If you were in a Worlds and you need one more fish to win the World Championships, and you looked in your box and you had a Perdigon and a Pheasanttail, what is the fly you'd put up? Definitely, I'd have to say Pheasanttail, Frenchie. Pheasanttail Frenchie, maybe not so much Perdigon, but it does have its place. And where I kind of find it comes into its own is that when I've gone through my water, with my hare's ears and my Pheasanttails, and I'm fairly confident that I've picked up all the fish that I'm going to pick up on those particular patterns. Well, then I'll go back along that same piece of water with Perdigons, small, slim, Perdigons that will really penetrate down into the deeper little pockets. How you doing, Eugene? Eugene Fagan's on it as well, and he's just giving us that lowdown on the match there. United are 2-0 up. But I use Perdigons in that situation and look to pick out those fish that are sitting in deeper, tighter pockets, because they do penetrate quite well, or maybe under the faster, rapid waters and stuff like that is where I use a lot of my Perdigons. But that one there was definitely my number one from last year, and it's there on the card now for whoever's going to win it tomorrow. They'll get a look at that one. So definitely. But if you're not even into your Perdigons and you haven't been tying much of white beads for the 2021 season, I would definitely say get a selection of white beads. Tie up some Pheasanttails with white beads, tie up some black and silvers with white beads, and stuff like that. So they're definitely something you want to have in your box for next season. So moving on, we're going to move on to a lock style fly here now. This is one I tied a good few years ago. Myself and Mark Driver actually were up. I think it was Mark. We're up in Lockwool, and it was duck fly season. Thanks, James Johnson. We were up in duck fly season in Lockwool. Trout were everywhere as usual up there that time of the year. A bit of activity starting to go on. Robbie asked, do I ever put a bit of lead in? Sometimes, Robbie, but because it's exactly, you've just answered your own question. Because it's coated in resin, because it's like that, I tend not to. I don't think there's necessarily a big need for a lot of lead in there. And sometimes I can find it can just bulk up that kind of turn from the body up to the head a little bit. So I tend not to. I think because it's resin and so tight and slim that I like to keep it, I find it maybe a bit of lead sometimes can bulk it up. But anyway, we were up on this day, and there was things like bibios really working well for us and stuff like that. Orange bibios. We used to use an awful lot of orange bibios up in Roundwood Reservoir in County Wicklow when I fished in my days up living in Wicklow. And so anyway, we tied this fly, myself and Mark, and we came back then a few days later, and we had a right load of fish on it. And ever since then, it's been a common feature in my box for early season lock style fishing. When we get into those April months and we start seeing a bit of activity, a bit of fly activity coming on, and I'm going to tie it for you now. It is called the duck fly bumble, is what I call it. You can tie it on 16s, 14s, 12s. Wouldn't recommend a 10. I'm just going to get out a bit of gear here now and do this one up for you. Thank Arthur. Arthur Windrum is on there as well. Now, I'm going to use a size 12 for this one, just because it'll give us good visibility on what I'm doing. Get it out of the box here now. There we go. Size 12 in there. Camazon B175. Great hook for tying a wet fly on. Okay, tying thread. We're going to use some Kevlar. Kevlar. Got me in there. Start off your tying thread. Robbie. By the way, anyone that hasn't seen just Robbie has a fundraiser on fly fishing for trout in Irish rivers there at the moment. He's got some really nice prizes. Really nice prizes up there for grabs. If anybody wants to head over to that page there after the show or during the show, or if anyone's on it there, look it up there. It's a fundraiser for the RNLI, fantastic charity, to do amazing work every year, saving lives and stuff on the Irish coastlines. So definitely, lads, if you're on that page, you spot it there, give him an old shove on with it there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in a little tail. Okay, and what I've got here is, you can remember when we were doing you've all seen that box of Antron wool I used, what I used for Paul, this. Sorry, lads. I was just reading the comment there. First, ma'am. How you doing, ma'am? How you doing, dad? Dad's sitting up there watching United win. I'm sure you're happy with that one, dad. Winning, should I say? They mightn't have won yet. But Desmond Paul is on there. Desmond, yeah, he apologised because he was the one. I was thinking you started up, Desmond. But anyway, I'm going to do it next week, Desmond. I'd say it is a weird experience. I'm going to do it next week for the show, and we'll have a bit of fun with it. So this is just a bit of light orange Antron wool. Okay, and we're going to put that in as a little tail. Now, why I'm using a light Antron wool is because it kind of puffs up a little bit when it gets wet. You know, it doesn't go flat and hard like, let's say, a Globe Right or something like that. Hi, Jonas Olsen is on there. So it doesn't go hard as such, or kind of flat, or narrows in a bit. It puffs a little bit, you know. So we're going to use that as a tail. Now, looking for a bit of a ribbon here. Okay, so for a rib here, we got some orange. Sorker Well was on there. What kind of resin would you use? Sorker, the only resin I recommend, and I use the whole time, is the Solaris. That's the Solaris. That's a 2 ounce bottle. It comes in 2 ounce bottles, 5 ounce bottles, and 0.5 gram tubes. It's by far the best as far as I'm concerned. It's all I've ever used. You'll get it on our website as well. So a little bit of orange Sabaya wire on this one. Okay. And I find the orange is the key colour for this. You know, hi Dex Colin. Hope you're keeping well. Declan Collins on there. Orange is a key colour here for this this particular fly. And I think in that time of the year when the duck fly are about, and excuse me, when the duck fly and that are about, orange is a very key colour. So we're going to put in a little bit of. We're going to start off here now with a little bit of black dove. I'm just going to get some stuff out of the way here because every week I do to actually take a picture of this space that I work in after the show's over, and I keep meaning to put it up and show you all the mess I create here. And I must do it. I have a couple of pictures actually on the phone there, and I might stick them on later on and show you the state that this place is getting when I'm doing here, because I do fire and stuff all over the place, and I've trays and stuff all around me to try and. So I'm just putting on a little bit of wax there, just to help to get the body a little bit tight. A little bit of black seal's fur. Less is more, as always, when you're working with seal's fur. Just a small little bit. And we're going to tie that in there. So we have a guest hire. Anyone that's just on there, we have a guest hire on tonight with a fantastic river dry fly pattern. Definitely one not to miss. That's going to be coming up later on in the show. Before that, we are going to have our first segment of a new idea we had is called Tackle Talk. We get asked so many questions. I get so many questions every week about different types of tackle, different types of things. And once again, no offense to anybody that I don't. It's just normal, a bit of fly pairs wax. Dylan Roberts, nothing special. I've had it donkey's years, as you can see. There's only a small bit of a left. It's nothing special at all. But no offense to anybody that thinks to ask a question or make a comment, and I don't actually get back to them. I don't see a lot of them, but I read back to them, and then there's an awful lot of comments asking about, what do you do in this situation, or what do you do in relation to tackle and stuff like that. Good man, Dave. So we decided to add in a little installment called Tackle Talk. A 10 or a few minutes of picking one single subject and just myself and someone else coming on and having a little chat about it, and trying to give you a few tips, or to the best of our knowledge of what we kind of use ourselves, whether we're right, or if people use something different, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean we're right. It just means that we have different preferences. But give you a lowdown on some little things. So we got a bit coming up tonight on indicators, and definitely worth a watch. So a little bit of orange in there in the middle. So as you can see by now, this is kind of, it's, hi Joe, Joe's on there. This is kind of shaping up to be kind of a Bibio style fly, which it is based on, because the Bibio is something that someone else mentioned there a few seconds ago. Something, is a fly I wouldn't be without early season on a lock style venue. But say this was really good over the last couple of seasons. On a lot of early venues, it wasn't just go back a bit and give that another little bit of a twist. It wasn't just Ool, there was other places that this was being fished and proved to be very good. So now we've got a bit of a black saddle going in there for a second now. I'm just going to select the feather. Don't forget, Dave has a trivia quiz coming up for you tonight as well, folks. And the winner's going to get themselves a nice little spot prize as usual. Keep an eye out in the comment section for that. So a little bit of natural black. Now, believe it or not, when I'm tying this fly, I do like to use natural black rather than dyed black. Okay, when I'm tying the likes of BBOs and stuff like that, I don't know, it's just something about dyed black. Without sounding stupid, it nearly is too black. You know, where a natural black is like a very black grey to me, to my eyes anyway. And I like that kind of look about it. So I do tend to stick to the natural blacks when I'm doing the likes of BBOs and stuff like that. So I'm just going to put a nice little palmer hackle down that fly. And then take me orange wire and just go back up there. And I want me to silly Peter. Take me orange wire and take it back up there. Just making sure not to trap down too many of them body hackles as I'm going up. Bit of a twist. Break it away. Get in there with our scissors. And snip it away. Now, dubbing brush, and as always, give that a little brush out just to get that nice taper back on those hackle barbs. Maybe even get a couple of little strands of dubbing to come out through it there to make it look nice and natural. And when I'm kind of putting on a tail on a fly like that, I don't cut the tail till afterwards. Let's see how long how long is my hackle barbs coming back there to judge the right kind of length, the right kind of what you call it that I want, proportion that I want in that tail. Okay, so quite happy with that one. Okay, and I say that's why I use the Antron, because it kind of puffs up a little bit rather than go flat like what you call it would, like let's say a globe right or something like that would, you know, get once it gets wet, it gets very narrow and flat, where that kind of holds it's kind of very dominant shape there in that. Okay, so now I'm actually just looking at the original here and it's in front of me to make sure I don't skip a step. There's a few other bits to go into it now. So next I'm going to add in a few little leggies, black knotted. Yeah, they're lovely, Robbie. Robbie said he got those fishing gloves. He got those fishing gloves off us there last week, and they're a nice fit. They are. They're a nice fit, all right. Yeah. Thanks, Rob. So 4 will probably do on something like a size 12. 3 or 4, and just let it come back along. Trim away that. Now, what we want to add in there now as well is 2 little sparkles or 3 little sparkles of crystal flash. It's a light orange crystal flash. Again, only 2 or 3. Don't want to overpower the fly. Just get them up into the center there a little bit, spread them out across the top. Just push that back with nail there to make a little bit of room. And make sure everyone's nice and neat and secured in there. Now, what we're going to put on that next is a natural black hen. Little natural black hen. Pick a fairly longish kind of, or hackle with nice long barbs. And tie that in there as well. Yes, Graham Walsh, I'll be. There's another batch of them on the way. They went a lot quicker than I expected. But there is. Give it a week or so. How you doing, Stefani? Give it a week or so. Yes, Dave Donovan, those gloves are one size fits all. They even fit my big shovel hands. But there's another batch of them in the next couple of days there. I found my hackle pliers as well. Thank God. Found it there the other day. It drove me bananas for the last 2 weeks. Trying to tie flies, and I was going through the shop there, all the hackle pliers, And just, you know, when you get so used to one tool, and that's it there. Like, I mean, I probably bought that thing for €1 or a pound even. It's that old. But you know, when you get used to something, and you just, oh, I just couldn't. It was driving me nuts. And I was tying loads of lock flies there all during the week, and driving me absolutely bananas. I was breaking feathers, losing, you know, pulling off hackles and everything else like that. But it, Tom Ankertel, you're absolutely dead right, Tom. I did give you a couple of these, and I think we met before the National AGM, the Taffy AGM one day, and I gave you a couple in the box. You were looking for some. So that's right, Tom. I'm glad to hear that you got your couple of fish. Now, I'm just going to put a small little bit of orange partridge on here. And just excuse me for a second now. I just have to find a feather that's going to do the job for me. A small little bit of orange partridge under the head of this as a little shoulder hackle. Let's pick out something here that's. I don't have a great selection of this orange left, but I do have one right here, thank God. So, small little. I actually think, Tom, those ones I might have tied for you were pre-legged version. I'm not sure if there was legs on that one, Tom. Absolutely, Graham Lonigan definitely shouldn't be without a bibia. Now you have two ways of tying in the partridge. I'm just going to tie it in like so. I just want one turn there, right at the head. Clear that away for a minute. Now that's saying hackles still don't break on me, and I still don't drop stuff and pull off of stuff. But it's just that this hackle pliers, you just get used to something. It's just nice and gently. They're not the strongest of feathers when we go in there to start. One nice turn of partridge, orange partridge, and it's not a real bright orange partridge. You know, it's a lovely kind of. And as you can see, any of the materials we used on there, you know, they're not really high fluorescent or high UV. You know, they're nice natural colours. Even the orange in the tail is kind of a naturally looking orange. Again, sounding a bit silly, but you know, there's nothing really major bright in that or something that's really going to jump out of the throat. I don't want it to. I think that kind of more natural colours are better in a position like this for this particular fly. Yeah, Michael Callaghan and Donegal legs. That yeah, absolutely. Was there legs on it, Tom? Well, I'm mistaken. Then you're obviously you're in the leg era of the development of this fly. But yeah, good little fly. Say Loch Olaf had great experience on it. And I've tied it for a few people, as Tom was saying there, and has worked in a few other venues as well. So just a really good early season. I think it's the black, the orange, nice hackles, the bumble style fly with the legs. It kind of covers a lot for early season lock style fishing. Good fly on the bar, on the top dropper can be a good point fly. I think it can really go anywhere. It's got everything going for it. You know, and definitely, as Luke would say, one more for the box there, lads. One more for the box. So here's a lovely bumble lake fly pattern for you all to get your teeth into over the next week when we get all this lovely. Thanks, Declan Smith. When we get all this lovely snow coming our way, you can tie yourselves up. All those lock style guys out there can tie yourselves up a blast of those and be ready for a bit of. Please God, everyone, we get out at some stage over the early part of the season, and be it rivers or lakes, and we'll all get a few trout and clear the heads and make us feel some way normal again. After just putting in a winter like this one, I don't think I've ever put in a winter. I don't think anyone has ever put in a winter in this stage. Yeah, Robert Flaherty, it can be. Orange can be very good for peaty water. And I know when I was up fishing Scotland, and one of the dry flies I'm going to do after a little break is a really good dry fly for Scottish lakes that I discovered up in Scotland. But fishing up there in those mountain lakes in Oban, a lot of hill locks up there, very peaty locks. And for where I'm from in Wicklow, the water up there is pure peat. And that was a great fly for us, like really, really good fly in that peaty waters, really good. Lots of movement there. That kind of real soft hackle on the front, holds well. That when that puffs up that tail, it doesn't go really flat and narrow like a wet globe, right? It'll stay kind of puffy. And it's almost like, kind of some kind of something, a pupae or something coming out of the back of a caddis in a way or something. It's hard to explain, but you'll see it when it gets wet, like it really transforms into something very, very fishy. And something that has caught me a lot of fish over the years in duck fly in the last number of years. Hi, Pat Kennedy. And salmon fishing. Absolutely, Pat. Salmon fishing, I see you're fitting a load of lockers today, Pat, were you? You're flat out. Nice job done in them lockers, Pat. I see Mark Driver got a load of new doors up there as well. Actually, he was putting up something on Facebook there, Mark. Did you get a load of new doors? I think Alan Lawless there from Doors and Floors and Long Mile Road, I think supplied them for you. They're a lovely looking door. Must admit now they're nice in the picture anyway. I know you didn't hang them, but whoever hung them for you done a fair nice job, lad. Yeah. But anyway, right, we'll get back to the fly time. But nice job in those lockers. I was looking at them, Pat, there now this evening. Nice job. So there we go. There's a nice little bumble pattern for you folks. And another one for the card that's going to be won tomorrow by somebody. Hope everyone's having a good Saturday night. I'm going to take a wee break for a few minutes. And I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of myself and a very good friend of mine and our first installment of Tackle Talk. So really hope you are going to enjoy this. I really want to hear your feedback because if it's something you do, Graham Lanigan, absolutely, just before I go there, well done to Jason Corcoran for saving the baby goat during the week. I'd say that was a fairly epic adventure going across that river in the heavy waters in the black dark night to save the baby goat. But well done, Jason. Hats off to the guys that helped him out there during the week. And great to see guys going through that lens just to save an animal. Fantastic. Well done to everybody involved. So anyway, let me hear your feedback. If you got any comments, leave them in the comment section. I'll try to get back to them when I come back on live. I'm going to take a wee break and I'm going to let you enjoy this. Talk to you all soon. Okay, how you doing, everyone, and welcome to our first episode of Talk and Tackle. I'm here in Kilkenny, and we've got Dave O'Donovan down in Shanballymore in County Cork, and tonight we're going to be talking about indicators, different types of products that are out there, the stuff we use, what's good, what's not, and where is the best place to use it. Because it can be quite confusing. There is an awful lot of product on the market that swears by it's the best stuff to use for indicators to help you with bite detection, take detection, and stuff like that. But so between our few years of experience that myself and Dave have, we're going to talk through some products. And we got lots of stuff on the market, like you have the Hanic bicolor, you have the Hanic tricolor. What else have we got here? We got some Baetis indicator stuff that's pretty popular at the moment. That comes in a couple of different colors. So as you can see, we got some Cortland indicator mono. What else have we got here? We got some Hens indicator, strike indicators. We got some braided tubing. We got wax, Mirko Scaffar's wax that has its advantages, disadvantages. And we got coils and stuff like that. So there's a whole ton of stuff out there that's currently in use or being promoted as being good for detection on our Euro nymph rigs and what's good ciders and stuff like that. So tonight we're going to have a few minutes of a chat here with Dave and myself, and let's see if we can give you some good pointers. Now, as I always say, I'm certainly no expert. I don't pretend to know the whole thing. But for me, what I have been using in the last kind of 2 or 3 seasons, and I have found it super effective in the way I fish. And I do an awful lot of tight line and more so than high stick. I use the tricolor indicator by Hanic. Okay, that's my go-to indicator. So basically, my setup would be I would have my long length of tapered leader, homemade tapered leader, so not a tapered leader to a specific formula, or more Spanish style leader, which would be a straight piece of 0.22 or 0.18 monofilament, preferably Trabuco, down to my indicator section, which would be anything from 40 to 60 centimeters or 80 centimeters long, depending on the conditions I'm fishing and what I'm fishing. And that's kind of been my basic setup. So, would be that kind of tricolor kind of stuff. I'm not sure if you've ever used that stuff, Dave. Is that the kind of stuff that you use on your setup, or what way you setting up your indicators?
Yeah, I start off from my fly line down. I use either Trabuco,
right.
Again, double rod length. Then I prefer. I don't know if you can see this. I prefer this one.
Yeah, again, I got them here as well, and they are. Yeah, I used to use them quite a lot, and they're really, really good.
Yeah, I find those ones.
What diameter do you find best on that, Dave?
Again, it can vary.
Right.
Summertime water, dry, really low levels, 0.18. That one's
okay.
0.18.
Yeah.
It goes up to 0.24. It has its, it has its reasons for use, but 0.18 down at the very, closer to the first nymph. And again, I'd have my first nymph very close to that.
What sort of distance are you talking?
Oh, only about 3 feet max.
Okay, right. Yeah.
From the end of that to my first nymph, 3 feet.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to deeper water, I'll have a possible second one of these on. And I can still get away with it.
So you put on, because I was just going to say that, the one thing I find about those hens indicators, why they're really good for visibility and they're very supple and they hold the connection well, is that they're only 40 centimeters long. So if you wanted to fish a longer indicator section, you've got to join two of them. So you do that, you would put a second one in there, would you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen Sean Maher literally having his nymph 6 inches underneath this, 6 inches. In fishing a foot of water and catching plenty of fish. So the lighter one towards the end, but again, it can depend on the strength of the river, the conditions and
visibility. Yeah. And what sort of there's loads of other stuff, like you've got this, I'm not sure if you've ever used it, but we got this beta stuff here, and they kind of come in different colors. You got a pink and a white, as you can see, and you got an orange and a white. Now, do you find that there is times when the color of any of those, let's say, because most on most common colors is a red or a kind of an orange and yellow with a bit of black on those indicator sections. Is there a time when those colors are not effective? Like, because obviously, part of an indicator, you've got to be able to see the bloody thing, and if you can't see it, it's pretty much useless. So is there times where you're kind of
I go more on feel. I don't really go on. I don't wait for my indicator to move. My indicator is only telling me where my nymphs are. Okay. I'm not waiting for the indicator to move to tell me there's a fish on the end of it.
Okay.
That's instinctive.
Because you're tight lining.
Yeah. I mean, my indicator is only telling me where my nymphs are, not that there's a fish on the end.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah, okay. Right, so your indicator, the visibility part of your indicator is, I get you.
It's only to tell me, because if you're fishing straight fluorocarbon point or 7x whatever, you can't see it. So it's only telling you where your nymphs are after landing, and then
I know what you mean.
My indicator is only it helps me to see the speed of the water as my indicator is being moved. So
that's really important. That's a great point, actually. It's something. Yeah, that's a great point as regards, using your indicator is not just about bite detection, but it's about knowing the position your nymphs are in coming down to that drift, what speed they're going at. And that's brilliant. That's something that I certainly have never really tipped on too much, but a fantastic piece of information that, it's about watching that drift and the pace your nymphs are coming down at. And it's not just about the tap forward or the sudden stop to indicate that there's a fish after taking your nymphs. So, that's crucial. But, if there is a visibility kind of problem there with that kind of color, obviously Mirko Scarfar has these amazing waxes. I think we were there right at the start, Dave, in Slovenia, if you remember that trip when we got handed these the very first time, and we were told to use them. And I remember I turned around to Mirko that day or the day after, and I said to Mirko on the bank of the river after using it for a few minutes, how much of it can you make and how quick can you make it? It was that kind of thing, because it certainly was a revolutionary product to bring out for indicators and stuff like that. Now, I know I use an awful lot of it. Like, I'm not solely dependent on it, but it certainly has a great advantages in detecting or allowing that visibility, better visibility on the water and stuff like that. Is that stuff you use much, Dave, as well? Like,
yeah, I use it. Yeah. Again, when it's really tough conditions, it can be messy. I'll be honest, it can be messy. But what I tend to do with it as well, I don't know if you can see this, but this is my chest pack. You see that?
Yeah.
But I have a little compartment in there, and I have some muslin, and I mix up some of Mirko's wax through the muslin, and it's just easier to get at than when it's at my chest.
All right, okay, that's good.
Because if something is difficult to get at, you might take a chance without using it. You know what I mean?
That's absolutely, and I know that point. Yeah.
If it's there, you'll use it. You
You
know,
use it constantly. And what's the advantage the advantages of putting it with the muslin thing? Because it helps it float a bit.
well, yeah. Well, I also like on occasion I use Mirko's coils an awful lot.
Okay, yeah, I
Um,
have some, but we have them here in the shop as well. Those are Mirko's coils. Anyone that hasn't seen them, like they come in these little tubes, and you can see them. They're quite fine. They're short enough in length. They're only about maybe 2 cms in length, and there's two perfection loops there as well. There's a double color, there's a single color, red and yellow. Now I am not, and I'll hold my hands up, I have not put in enough time or practice on coil fishing. It is something that I know I've talked to you about it, Dave, previously. Is that something I need to work on? Is working with coils. But I know you certainly do. So, what kind of advantage, or what kind of, if you're getting into nymphing and you're getting some of these indicators and coils, where do you want to fish coils, and how do you want to fish them?
yeah, they're definitely an advantage. They're not. I wouldn't say they're competition friendly. That's the only thing. Not.
The knots need to be 30 centimeters apart. Yeah,
exactly. But for someone starting off in fishing, I think they're fantastic.
Right.
But you have everything. They float if you put some of the muslin on, and it's like dry dropper fishing.
Right.
And straight away you can turn to nymphing and use it for just straight French nymphing in deeper water. And you can use, I very seldom put 2 nymphs under a dry fly. But with the coil, you can put 2 nymphs. You can put 2 nymphs under it, no problem. And you don't get this wraparound like you do because there's no dropper. But I find the coils, I mean, if I'm out pleasure fishing and things are tough, I put on a coil just to have a better day than a blank day.
Yeah.
Because they do.
You don't find any kind of issues in casting those coils?
No.
Unlike rigs, like if you're using 0.18 diameter down to a coil, the coil is not 0.18, it's probably around 0.20 or a bit heavier. You don't feel any issue there.
No, well, when I'm using the coil, I wouldn't be French nymphing too much. It's more short line Czech nymphing, two rod lengths. I wouldn't be putting a long line out.
Yeah.
Right.
And would you find, like, I know definitely, say with Mirko's wax, and I think Mirko's wax and the coils are kind of working in tandem for certain reasons. Well, in my mind anyway, that if I go out on a real windy day, and I get an awful lot of questions about guys like saying, oh geez, what do you do on a windy day? You know what? How do you nymph on a windy day without the indicators being blown all over the place, the wind coming up river, slowing up the nymphs, or the wind coming down river and speeding up the nymphs, and blah, blah, blah. And I'd say, do you know what you do, guys? And this is just my theory, and I don't know how you do, Dave, but I say put on the wax and drop everything on top of the water. Literally take the wind out of play, drop the rod tip, put on the wax, keep contact, and the wax will give you the visibility you need to make. Now, and back to your point, which you made to start, which is absolutely crucial. That you use the visibility of the indicator or the wax, not just to see bite detection, but to locate your nymphs and the drift they're coming on and the pace they're coming at. So when I have the wax on, I can drop everything onto the water. The wind can blow all at once, and we can still see our drift and stuff like that. Is the coil something in that situation with muslin and the wax on it something that's advantageous? Like,
well, if you think about it, it's not only have I, experienced it, but you read so much about it. When your nymph hits the water, and by the time your nymph gets to the bed of the river, if you're fishing 2 feet of water, by the time your nymph gets to the bottom, and by the time it starts to come towards you, your nymph is only fishing in the zone for maybe 3, 4, 5 feet.
Yeah.
And then it's rising up again. So it's not where the fish need to be. So the coil or your indicator will keep it in the zone for a longer period of time because you know where your nymphs are.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You're following the speed of the river.
Yeah,
you're not waiting for the indicator to move. I very seldom. Geez, I don't think my indicator. I never strike when my indicator moves.
No, I suppose thinking now too. It wouldn't be too. I certainly wouldn't be waiting for it because again, like that, I'm tight lining, so I have tension to my nymphs. I'm going to get this natural instinct feeling. Now it's not as if I can remember that feeling. It's just a natural striking. What would you say? Behavior on my.
your indicator stops. It doesn't move. When it stops, that's a fish. Unless you're, dirty part of the river. But if it stops, it's a fish.
And when you're putting on your indicators, then are you just blood knotting or double blood knotting that to the end of your tapered leader, or the end of your piece of leader tippet or whatever?
Yeah, I have my trabuca or whatever I'm using, straight mono. That would be 15 feet, 14 feet.
Yeah.
I'll have my indicator. As I say, I like the hens. I'll have that on then, and then I'll have maybe to my first nymph then 3 feet, 4 feet, and then
to join the two, your tippet and your indicator. I know a lot of people love using tippet rings, and we got them there in the store as well. And they are advantageous. They're good. Personally, again, I don't use them. I do use them in certain situations. They are very convenient. But I've always been a perfection loop man. I love perfection loop because I feel there's just a little bit of give there. There's just that little bit of give where if you meet some fairly stubborn rocks or trees or fish, well, then there's no give in a piece of metal. So that's just me personally. But what way are you kind of attaching your indicators then to your tipping material?
I use micro rings when they first came out, like everything was new when you tried it.
Yeah.
But I to be honest about it, I was guilty of not knowing how to make a perfection loop. And I tell you, it's the most important knot an angler can use now.
Absolutely. Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. It's amazing.
And it's so simple. It's so simple, but I'd advise any fella to just take the time to learn how to make a perfection loop.
And there's another tip for you as well, guys and girls, is that I use a tweezers. Now, I probably should have brought a tweezers here and tied it off for you, but you can Google it. It's pretty easy. But I use a tweezers for tying the perfection loop, and you can tie them as thin as a needle. Using the tweezers, it makes life so easy. So definitely top tip would be there. If you're not using perfection loops, if you're not sure how to tie them or confident, sit down for an evening with a piece of monofilament and tie up your perfection loops. They're absolutely, there's no doubt about it. Dave's dead right. They're a top knot, really very versatile knot that you should be using. So look at Dave, that's fantastic. I think, we've covered kind of both our setups and stuff. So, definitely recommending a bit of thought process into your indicators for this coming season. Get some coils, get some practice on them. I know it's definitely one thing I'm going to do starting in March is get a leader made up, get a rig made up and put some coils on it and really get working on that. I might, when the lockdown lifts, Dave, I might get into the car and head down to you for a bit of tuition. We might pop over to Jason Corcoran's and have the breakfast there in Jason's new B&B, and then go out and do a bit of fishing down there, and he might teach me a bit more about the coil. But use your wax. Kind of if you're struggling in the wind, which an awful lot of people kind of is an awful lot. What I hear is people, geez, how do you do it in the wind with the indicator stuff like that? I always say to people, if you're struggling in an environment and you're not confident that's the one time you should go practicing. So if you're struggling to fish in a windy day or you hate fishing in a windy day, well, any day that you have free and you're going to go fishing and the wind blows, that's the day you should go and practice, because that's the only way you're going to get around that obstacle of not being confident. There's lots of other different types of tip or indicator material and stuff there, but there's some of the ones we really recommend. The Hanick, the Hens, a lot of that stuff is available on our website, and you have your waxes and stuff like that and the coils. And look, that's it, folks. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to give us a shout anytime. We're always at the end of the phone or on the end of an email, and more than happy and willing to give you a bit of advice on what's going to suit best or what's going to work best for you in any environment. So huge thanks to Dave for his information. And that one tip, go on ahead.
If anyone is struggling in the wind, the first thing I tell them is up the size of their nymphs. Just put on a little bit of extra weight. It's not rocket science. If it's windy, just up the size of the wind, or if it's very windy, up the size of your beads. Go to 3.5s or even a 4 if you have to. It's better to be fishing than to be stuck in trees or sitting in the car. Okay,
so that just adds an extra bit of tension to the weight, to the anchor in the water, and just helps keep that tension on the leader to stop the wind from affecting it too much. That's good, yeah. And look, thanks, Dave. And I think, really important, one thing that I'll take out of this little short chat about indicators is that one thing that Dave, that, indicators are not just there for bite detection. They're there to detect where the nymphs are swimming through, the paste are swimming through. So again, visibility is important. You've got to be able to see those indicator sections. If you can't see them, well, then do something different to make yourself see them. address your sunglasses or use some wax or whatever it may be. Switch to coil, switch to different colors. But that's a super top tip from Dave Donovan. Definitely, he knows his stuff. He's been around the block long time now, and he's the old bull. So thanks a million for that, Dave. Really appreciate it for sharing your tips there with us tonight. And we're going to get back to the fly tying now in a few seconds, folks. And thanks for watching.
Bye, everyone.
So we're back. So what did everyone think of our new segment of Talk and Tackle? I hope everybody got something out of it. Huge thanks to Dave O'Donovan for sharing his thoughts, experience, and information with us there. Dave's a very acclaimed competition angler around the world, and fantastic to get him on there to give us a bit. If you're on there, Dave, thanks a million. Really appreciate it. Still don't think we've put up the trivia question, but that's coming up shortly there, guys and girls. Hope everyone's keeping well. We're back here live in Kilkenny with myself, Peter Driver. Hope everyone's enjoying their Saturday night. A few little things came up out of that, and we're going to answer the questions there now in a minute. I got a grand little break there anyway, so it's good. We still have coming 2 more flies live here, and we have our guest hire still to come. Not going to spoil who it is, but there is an absolute cracking little dry fly coming up on our guest hire. I'm going to do a dry fly for you now as well. One that can be used on both rivers and lakes. And we're going to tie that there now in a second. But there was one question there Alan Lawless came up with, and I see a few people who were giving it likes and stuff. And he's talking about Dave and during that Fly Fish Live competition. When you've only got 1 hour, and Dave was mentioning, you've got to start in the best spot. Where is the best spot? That's the thing. Like, where is that best spot on the river when you walk into your beat? What's the first place you go to? And a lot depends on the river, the time of year, your practice. Your during your practice, it will give you an indication of where the fish are sitting. So if I'm fishing in September, I'm not necessarily going to go and hit the runs because I don't think the fish are there in the numbers that you need to get them in. I'm going to head back to the flats, the tailwaters, stuff like that. In order to Dave Clark, that chest pack was a CNF chest pack. Dave, if you're on there, you might throw up a link to that one. We don't have it, unfortunately, but you can get them. It's a CNF chest pack. But September, I'm going to fall back to the flats and stuff like that, because trout are going to hold back there and conserve energy and before their migration. So it depends. But let's say normal, standard May, April, June, July. I'm going to you're going to hit that fast water. You're going to hit that oxygenated water where fish are definitely going to be. So through your experience, Alan, and others, that when you walk to a piece of river, there's always that one little spot that you're looking at and going, oh God, there has to be fish there. Well, that's where you go. Get into the hot spots, like get into in around the boulders where fish got a bit of protection, where they got a bit of current, extra oxygen. You're looking at the food lanes, or I call them the gravy trains coming down the river. And they're the spots we're targeting first in a 1 hour session to maximize as many fish as we can catch. You're looking at the main stream of water. Where's the most food being carried down through that stream? Trout are always going to be near there because they eat constantly. So, they're going to be sitting somewhere in around that stream of food that comes down to them. And, you're trying to identify those key areas of where that food is coming, and that'll help you pick out where the best spot is on that day. So, without being able to give you a definitive, straight answer, Alan. And I know, Alan, you have yourself and Stephen Potts won on our Christmas special, a full day's guided with myself, all the bells and whistles. And during that day, that's definitely something we're going to cover, is identifying key lies for fish you know, and things like that. So we remind me when you come down for that one. Hopefully in the spring we'll get a little bit of room to move around a bit, and we'll have you guys down here in with us here in Thomastown, and we'll cover all that. But I hope that helps a little bit. I hope you all found that a little bit interesting. It's something we'll try and continue for the next couple of weeks while we're still here, and we'll pick a different topic next week. But if anybody has something in particular that they want to, if anybody has anything in particular that they want us to cover in the talk and tackle, by all means, send us a message or shoot us a line there during the week or give us a bell, and we'll cover it as best we can. We'll get some people with good opinions and good expertise to come on and have a chat with us about different tackle tips and tackle topics throughout the next couple of weeks. So what I'm going to do here now is a little Hawthorne pattern. Okay, a little dry Hawthorne pattern. And like I mentioned before, this is something I've used up in the hills of Scotland, found it very useful. I've used it on the rivers, and I've used it on lakes all over the country. Nice little dry fly pattern. And I am just threading up a very fine piece of foam onto a needle here now for a second, because we're going to do a little kind of detached body style on this one. So just bear with me 1 second. It's a small piece of foam, and even though the lighting here is not as bright as I would have downstairs directly over my fly tying voice, it just makes it a little bit more awkward. So we have the lighting all set up here for the studio. But I'm just going to thread that up there. You don't need to thread it up much. Just thread it up there about half an inch or so will do you fine. It's a small little dry fly. We don't need much. So the idea of the needle is just to support it while we put the segments in there with thread to support that foam, which makes life a little bit harder. So thread it up. Be careful not to stick the needle into Donald Rafferty. Good, that's a good one, Donald. Actually, tactics on buzzer fishing. We certainly can. We can link up with somebody there. We can link up with somebody and get some opinions on buzzers and lines and different tippets and stuff like that. Absolutely something we can do. So what I'm going to do is just do a few little segments on this little so we got a very fine needle, so it's going to wobble a little bit as I do this. 2 or 3 turns in there of your black tying thread. Man, Tony was saying maybe here long enough now. That actual a little bit long. We don't need that. Just make it easier for doing the whip finishes. So go and just put a little whip finish on that there. And you can just pull over that foam. One's enough for the moment. Just hold in that thread and create that little segment. Don't put too much tension on that thread because you can actually cut the foam away. So I hope everyone enjoyed talking about tackle. And say if you have any requests or anything, please do shout across. I'm going to come up there a couple of mil and I'm going to tie in another little segment. A bit too far. So, Dennis, I see you put up there a very good question replying to Donal. That must have been about the buzzer thing, was it? We'll have a look at that now early in the week there and see what I can organise. I think definitely we'll have another talk on the tackle segment next week, please God. Don't forget we got let's go and put a third one in there. We have a guest flight there coming up there now shortly, and he's going to be tying something perfect. Yeah, Colin, I can certainly do that. What I can do is actually, and you know what, I actually thought about it today, but I don't have the materials here really to do a perfection loop. But what I can do is next week as part of the show, I will make a perfection loop. Oh, drop my tray button. I wasn't concentrating. But next week as part of the show, before we do the blind, I won't do it blindfolded, by the way. But I will do a perfection loop for and how I do it with the tweezers and stuff like that to make it super fine, like, you know. So I'm just concentrating now on this and get this little detached body finished here. You're only putting 2 or 3 turns on there, so it can happen that the thread will slip off a little bit, and then so I'm not putting a lot of tension on that, but you can see I'm just getting that little Dave Donovan's on there as well, just saying that there is a lot of really good videos there, and that's how I learned it on that perfection loop. But and that's an absolute must. There's no question about it. So once I've got those 3 little segments done on that small little piece of, and just a bit of black foam, black close cell foam. What I'm going to do here now is I've got a little bit of Tommy Fly lacquer. Okay, now there was actually a fuller bottle downstairs, but I brought up a half empty, nearly an empty bottle. You can see a little bit of lacquer. It's a real fine lacquer, and there's a little needle on it, as you can see. And when I pull out the needle, you can see the drops coming down. Okay, the little drops coming down. It's really handy. So all I do is just get a little drop, put it there on a segment, get another little drop. It really soaks in very well. It's not like a varnish, it's actually a lacquer. So it soaks in there very well, gives those little knots that we just tied in there a little bit of strength, and gives that whole detached body just a little bit of strength. But as you can see, it doesn't put a film on it or anything like that. It just leaves it still nice and natural. Soaks into that foam, lovely, and those little wraps of thread. And once we got that done, then put your finger behind it and just dismount it off slide it away, dismount it, and there we got it. Very fine little detached body ready for our Hawthorne fly. So now we're going to move on and take away our little needle and put that somewhere where I don't lose it. And I'm going to put in a hook. So what I'm going to tie this on is a size 16 301. James Johnson, I normally do have that foam in the shop, and I will have it back this week. I'd say by Tuesday. Tuesday, James Johnson, I will have those foam packs back in. They come in a selection pack of either dark colours or light colours, so all that will be in on Tuesday. If not, it'll be in by Monday. So check in Monday, Tuesday, and it'll definitely be there at some stage. Okay, we're going to use a little bit of tying thread. I'm going to use a bit of black for this one, okay? A little bit of black tying thread. So this is size 16 301. You don't want them on big hooks. We want them on small little hooks. So just tying them in thread, coming back along there just below the point of the hook. And I'm going to tie in that little, I'm going to trim up some of those little bits of thread sticking out there. And I've caught fish on this dry fly during the duck fly as well. So just take that up just a little bit on that. Just tie it in there. So I'm just going to shorten up that last segment and make it similar to the segments that were actually on there. So again, I'm not putting a lot of tension on that there now for the moment, because I don't want to cut through that foam. And yes, it's not the strongest foam in the world. You will catch a couple of fish on it. Thanks for that there, Tony. But that Graham Connolly, that foam is only 2 or 3 mil thick. Quite fine. Where have I got a section of it there now? And I'll actually show it to you. Quite fine, but we do decent selection packs of it. You can see it's quite fine. That's it there. It's a closed cell foam. We find it brilliant for all the backs of caddisses and stuff like that as well. You'll find on our website come Tuesday, I'll have it all back in. So once I've tied that in there now, again, I'm going to put a little drop of that lacquer in there where I tied that last section. And it's just to give it a bit of strength, stop it from moving. And as I said, while it's not the strongest material in the world, you'll be quite surprised how many fish you'll get on that before someone takes that tail. And do you know what? The rest of the fly will work for a little while longer once that tail is gone. A little bit of black seals for, put a little bit of black seals for on that tying thread. That tying thread I'm using there actually is Simpler Fly Classic 80 waxed. I find a very good tying thread. Little bit of seals for, and don't overdub the seals for. You want a bit of stuff sticking out. Something I love about this fly, it's no Sorka. I would actually I use that foam for pretty much everything, really, unless I'm doing booby eyes. I use something much bigger. I use the Uphaven foam blocks and the cutters, but for doing most rivers and lake stuff, that's the foam is plenty big for me. So just putting on a nice little dub on there. Okay, now I'm going to add in a few legs. Dave O'Donovan, lads and girls, watch out now. Dave has got a question coming up. He's just put up a post there now to say he's got his question coming up. So it's going to be in the comment section. First correct answer in wins. Good man, Dave. Thanks a million again for your contribution to the show every week. I know Graham Lonigan and a few of those guys really enjoy your questions. So thanks a million for that, Dave. So I'm going to put in a few little pre-knotted legs there from Vineyards on either side of that and tie them in there. And we can just shorten a few of those up a little bit. Just by pulling them out before we trim them away. Now, we're going to add in a little bit of CDC next, okay? So I got 3 nice healthy plumes of CDC here, okay, as you can see, and I have them all stacked on top of each other, ready to go, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just place them directly on top of the fly, facing backwards. Now, and basically I want these wings to just come back as far as the bend of the hook, okay, the end of the shank, roughly about there. Tie them in directly on top. Don't tie them in to the side, and I'll explain why now in a second. Tie them in directly on top, and then trim away. Now we're getting nice and tight up on the head there. Okay. Working on a size 16 with this amount of materials does mean you have to be very aware of your space that's available to you up there. So keep an eye on that. Now, next thing I'm going to do is put in what I call a hennycock. Okay, hennycock is a little feather off a cape. Now, as you can see, this one has been fairly ravaged over the years, but it's a little hennycock. It's basically a soft cock cape. Very, very good for doing the likes of this fly. You know, I've tried cock hackles and I've tried hen hackles. They're a bit too loose. So a hennycock gives me a little bit of stiffness there, but also still a little bit of movement. A lot of the Irish lock guys now would know exactly what I'm talking about. A hennycock could be very good. So I'm going to tie in a little bit of hennycock there. Dave is up there. So what silent movie actor was known for fishing Coran Lake in Waterville and the River Blackwater in Ballyhooly? So there we go. So get your thinking hats on there, guys. And Dave will be watching that. First correct answer into Dave wins. And best luck to everyone. Good question, Dave. Good question. So we have a little spot prize there for the winner. So what I'm going to do is put a couple of turns of hackle on that. And just tie it off up there at the head. Now I say this is a dry fly you can fish on the rivers. Tie it a bit smaller if you want. I can tie these right down to 18s. But definitely lock style, absolutely no problem. No problem on the lakes. During the duck fly pattern, I might even put a little bit of orange in there as another a little bit of orange dubbing there in under that CDC or under that hackle just to give that little orangey blood effect for a duck fly pattern. But a really, really good pattern nonetheless for you know, just good springtime fishing when there's a bit of life out there. You know, the Hawthorns, I know here where I live in Thomastown, all the ditches around here are just lined with hawthorn trees. And it's the most beautiful sight you'd ever see and smell is kind of in around that time of the year when the sun is starting to really warm up and things like that. And next thing, all of a sudden, the hawthorn flowers break out in the trees and the ditches are just snow white. And, it is the best time of year. Even in a lockdown, after months of lockdown, it is still the best time of the year. It's, you know, it's a wonderful feeling getting up on a sunny morning at the time of the year and walking outside and taking a walk up the lane with the dog or down to the riverbank and see them lovely hawthorn trees and the colours and the flowers and stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to push a bit of that CDC to either side of that foam and I'm going to pull it over the top. Now, the reason why I didn't put the CDC to the side is because when I pull that over the top, it'll have no great effect of getting those wings to flare out and keep them to flare up a bit. If I put them to the side, there's a good chance they'd lie down on the side of the fly and they'll actually interrupt with the fly sitting into the surface film as the way I particularly want it. So by tying it up the way as a wing and then splitting and bringing it back over, leaves them flaring up there perfectly in the exact position I want and allows that fly to sit down in the water. So that detached body is sitting down in the water as well. Really important point. So once you're happy enough that you've got both sides, which I'm not right now at the moment, both sides equal enough on the CDC, take your foam and pull it directly over the top. Over everything. Hackle the whole lot. And then tie it off. Now I've tried that pattern with how you doing, Le Petit from France, there at Fly Shop that we know well in France. Hope everybody's well in France. So I've tied that with white CDC and I've tied it with black CDC and the whole lot. Natural CDC is the best. Okay, so well worth. You can practice with different color CDCs if you want, but definitely natural CDC is the best color for that one. Have we any winners there, Dave? Very good, Robbie. So a little bit of a whip finish there. Now, as you can see when I was actually tying that, I'm not sure if you can see it, but I left a little bit of foam up the head sticking out. You can see it there now. A little bit of that foam sticking out. When you're trimming off stuff like that, when you're trimming off foams and stuff like that, don't trim them off completely. I like to keep a little bit there. It just helps to keep that knot back in there. And now once again, I'm going to go to that little bit of lacquer. That's Tommy Fly lacquer. You'll find it on our website with the little needle. Now I should have brought up the fuller bottle, but it's just good for doing the likes of this where you just need a small little bit of security going in there, but not a big lump of varnish as such, because I wanted to soak in there. So I just got to shake the bottle around a bit till I get a bit on the needle. Normally with a full bottle you'll get it quite easy on the needle. So there we can see our little droplets coming down there now, and I can just target that little head there with one or two of those little droplets, and that's enough. That's enough. You don't need much, just to make sure it's up there. So there we have it, folks. That's a little Hawthorne pattern on a size 16 Tahaku hook. An absolute belter of a dry fly. And I tell you one thing, if you went down across the river with that thing and a bit of a rapids in springtime, when the trout are up feeding and looking around there and blues around and hawthorns and everything else like that around, thanks Desmond for that, like, you know. But absolutely fantastic dry fly. Really, really good. And on the locks again, you know, when you're sitting there in the springtime up in Ool or Lean or any of those locks, even on Corrib and places like that, well, you know, sitting that down into a little riffle on a calmer day, you know, it's such a natural pattern because it sits so flat, and it's very important that you get it to sit so flat. That it's a real fish catcher. You know, it's one of those things for fussy fish as well. When calm days, a real light tippet there now and a 3-weight rod maybe in the boat, and sit that out there in a long leader and just twitch it back to them little riffles. Thanks for everyone. Thanks Dennis. Thanks Declan. Thanks Arthur. James Gibson. Thank you. You know, sits down beautiful in the water and has great floatability. A little bit of mucilage or a little bit of spray on that there, or leather waterproofer on that. You know, that thing will float away in the riffle and you'll have no problem catching fish. And say I've caught plenty of fish on the duck fly with that as well, up in Loch Ool during the season. But you know, it's one of fish that's very versatile little pattern and really, really good. Really good one to have. So there we go. There's another fly for you tonight. How are we doing time? 10 to 10. We're not doing too bad. We still have another bit to go, folks. Hope everyone is still having a good night and having plenty of tea or beverages. I'm on the Sauvignon Blanc tonight. I had a little glass of wine for myself just to keep my throat nice and moist, of course. You know, it's for those reasons alone. But it's lovely to be here, which is all on a Saturday night. It's great. I really do look forward to every Saturday night, which is, you know, as I say, I always start thinking about it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and I start plotting and planning, and trying to come up with some ideas to keep us all entertained and keep it going, and you know, give us back some of the support that you give me. But I really do. I look so forward to it and love being here, which is on Saturday night, and I hope you all enjoy it. And I say, you know, don't be afraid to share it and tag a few people. I really appreciate the Mounties that come on here every Saturday night and support it, because that's what keeps me going during this lockdown is, you know, you guys supporting the business, supporting me and following me, and, you know, all the Facebook shares and likes and all that. So I really do appreciate it all. So going to take, I get a second break tonight. This is fantastic. I'm definitely going to be keeping this going every week, that all these little guest hires and guest stuff on. But just to give you a head up, next week we have a guest hire on that's outstanding. Okay, so we got a guest hire on who's going to do something for us during the week. An international angler, not from Ireland, world class angler. He's going to do us a fly for next week. Not giving out any spoilers, but it's going to be one you don't want to miss. So really, really looking forward to that next week, and really appreciate all our guest hires that have been on with us ever since the Christmas special. Thanks Desmond, thanks Stephen, Robbie, thank you, thanks Neil. So anyway, we're on to our tonight's guest hire. Okay, so we've got a guest hire on here tonight. I'm going to say he's a young man. Some would call him young something else, myself included. Young bull. We all know who he is now. But hailing from County Wicklow, Rathdrum in County Wicklow. I know when I was living up in Wicklow and I used to go fishing from the house in Glasnarget, you'd be nearly sneaking to the river sometimes. Um, yeah, Alan Hollis. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Uh, brought back a few old memories there, Alan. As the lad says, the pay was shit, but the crack was good on that job, Alan. Lovely doors, though, Alan Hollis. Definitely. They're fabulous doors. Definitely going to look up, give you a shout when I'm looking for a few new doors for the house when my kids get a bit older and stop colouring them in with markers. So anyway, our guest hire, we all have a fair idea. He's a young bull, but when I was kind of in my 20s growing up, and I'd be heading to the river, this young lad used to be following me around the place and wanting to come fishing and all that. And and my dad brought him on an awful lot, and Rathdrum Trout Anglers brought him on an awful lot. And he put a lot of work himself. And all fairness to him, he's an outstanding angler. His passion is second to none. His commitment is second to none. And his tying is pretty good too. So I'd like to introduce you to Mark Driver, our guest hire for tonight, and he is doing a little comparadon for us, a very interesting little comparadon, and really hope he's enjoyed this one. And I'll see you all in a few minutes. I get another break.
Hi guys, Mark Driver here. For any of you that don't know me, I'm Peter's cousin. I'm highly involved in the competition side of things as well as Pete. I hope you are enjoying your evening so far, watching the Scary Fly live Saturday night show. It's been great for the last number of months, and hopefully it continues to be the same as well, and your support is greatly appreciated, as Peter always says. So tonight Peter's asked me to come on and tie you one of my favourite river dry flies that really works well for me. It's got me out of a few sticky spots in terms of competitions. It's a fly that really works well if there's a rise on, and especially if the hatch comes on similar to the fly. You don't need anything else up. This will catch you fish after fish. It will bring fish up on the blind if you're stuck. If you're stuck for fish during a competition, or even your pleasure fishing, you find things hard. Stick this up and you'll always turn the fish's head, and fish will come up. So anyway, we'll get to it, and we'll go through the tying of it. Right guys, so as you can see, I have the little dry fly and the hook there finished. So it's a little iron blue dun comparadon, done with a hackle rather than deer hair. So it's a lovely little fly. It'll definitely catch you fish. It's one worth definitely having a row of in the box. I normally tie them kind of between 16s and 20s, but 18 is kind of my favourite size. So I have an size 301 the Haku 18 hook, dry fly hook in the vise. So we're going to use some Kevlar thread. You've probably seen Peter use this several times. Lovely super strong thread, perfect for dries, keeping those nice little tight bodies. So we just work our thread down to the butt of the fly. We're going to use some cochleon for the tail fibres. So roughly about 3, I like to kind of keep it to 3 cochleon fibres for the tail of dry flies. And we'll just tie them in. So normally rule of thumb is we'd keep the tail probably 3/4 the length of the body, but for this fly we're going to keep it probably the length of the shank of the hook. And what we're going to do then is just do a turn underneath the tail fibres, just to give that tail fibres a little bit of a kick, and it helps keep them up. What we're going to use then for a little bit of a butt section is some Glutterman Sulky red holographic tinsel. This is super stuff to use. Very easy to work with. It's very strong. It's not like most tinsels or holographic tinsels. Like if you overstretch them, they kind of lose their natural colour or the colour that they're meant to be given off. So what we're going to do is the two end piece of the tinsel with the two ends, and all I do is just give them a nice clean cut with the scissors so they're kind of level. And all we're going to do then is just tie them down and bring them back just as far as where the tail begins, and then anti-clockwise we're going to wind them up. Yeah. So all we do then is we work our Kevlar back just enough to keep that little bit of a butt on the fly. What we're going to use then is for the body is a nice natural dubbin. So we're going to use some muskrat dubbin. So muskrat dubbin is a nice kind of iron dung kind of colour as well, dung kind of colour. It's really nice to use. You've probably seen Peter use it before on some flies. It gives off a nice natural tone to the fly, and also when it gets wet from being on the water, it gives off a nice kind of dark grey, dark medium grey kind of colour, which is perfect for the dun. So apply some wax to the Kevlar. The reason for that is when we apply the muskrat, it just helps the dubbin stay on nice and tight to the Kevlar, because we want to keep kind of have nice amount of dubbin, but at the same time have it nice and tight to the body. Just something there should be on it. So have my dubbin on again. Don't feel you need to put loads on to start. Just put a little bit on, and you can add to it as you need then. So we're just going to work our way up the body. Again, we're only going to go up about 2/3, which just around there is perfect. And we'll just go back in over them. So that's perfect. So you're only kind of coming up about 2/3 up the shank and hook, and you're leaving this little area here just before the eye for what we're about to do next. So in this fly, as you've probably seen at the start, we have a little wing. So what that wing is light dun antron post, or indicator post that you'd use normally for clink hammers, but it's just dyed in a light dun colour. If you don't have it, or you can't get it, you could use CDC. I've used CDC on some of them that I have in my box also, but I like to use this stuff. I find it helps, it keeps the water out a little bit more than CDC, and plus it's more so the colour tone is the reason I kind of choose it against the CDC. Right, so we have our piece of antron. What I like to do is just kind of roll it, just so all the fibres kind of come tight. You'll see it springs out by itself, so we'll just get 1 or 2 lock and turns in there. We won't worry about the length of it for the moment, and we'll just cut away your waist. And we'll just tidy it up there. Just those rough ends. And now what we'll do is just lift up our wing and work our Kevlar thread back against it as much as we can. So we have a nice little area there. So what we're going to do next is probably the most trickiest part of the fly, but once you get practice you'll find that they're quite easy to do. So we have a blue dun hackle, lovely little cape. perfect for these types of this kind of coloured blue-winged olives, iron duns, blue duns. If you don't have it, grizzle hackle would do, or even a very light kind of maybe badger hackle or brown hackle. So, and all we're going to do is we've cleaned back. You see, I've just been plucking there. Just clean back the stem where we're going to tie it in. And the idea is to have the hackle going this way. So the hackle is going to go facing the convex of the hackle is going to face going out over the eye of the hook, rather than back down over the body in a wet style form. So we're going to kind of tie it in, so it's going to be, when we wind it up, it'll be facing over the eye of the hook, the natural curvature of the hackle. And we just tie it in there, and we just tidy up the waist. Nice tight turn with that Kevlar thread, superb thread that we have in Peter has in the shop. It's lovely stuff to tie with. I wouldn't tie with anything different, and if I run out of it, I stop tying. That's the way it is. It's that good. So what we're going to do now is apply a little bit of wax. You might see the position on my thread is down near the eye. The reason for that is I find if you we're going to apply some more muskrat dubbing, and if you start up at the hackle and work your way down to the eye, it gets a little bit messy for this fly, so best start at the eye and work our way up. The reason we use some dubbing here is because what you could do is you could tie your hackle around there now, make your nice hackle, tie it off, finish the fly, and cut your under hackle off to make it a Bardon style up to the fly. But the problem with that is then when we cut the under part of the underside of the hook, of the thorax area, what happens is we have those little stubble areas then where the fibres are kind of stubbly where we've cut them. So what we're going to do, the reason why we add a little bit of dubbing is so if a fish was looking up from underneath, he would see that the little cut areas of the hackle and the thread coming through. Where if we add in a little bit of dubbing, what that allows for then is for those cut hackles to kind of blend into the dubbing when you've cut them, and you continue on that natural look to the body, and those hackles just blend in. So you see I kind of worked my way up from the eye to the wing and the hackle, and just there was a small bit of dubbing left on the, kind of always leave a little bit of dubbing so that you can just turn your way back down to the eye in one turn. And we'll just make a few turns at the eye here and just lock that all in there. So that's perfect. So what we're going to do now is we get our hackle pliers and we'll grab our hackle, and what we're going to do is do one turn straight around here at the wing, and we'll do one just behind it for your second turn, and then one in front of your very first one, and then we're going to do two more as we work our way down to the eye of the hook. Then you get your thread and come on the inside of the hackle. So normally two turns is enough to kind of close off. You can release the hackle in, and wet your fingers a little bit, pull all those fibres right back. Get a few nice turns in there with your Kevlar thread. It'll help lock everything in and kind of free up everything around the eye. Whip finish. We'll take the Kevlar off first. Take your waist piece of hackle. Before we go at the hackle, what we'll do now is we'll just kind of pull all those forward a little bit, just out of the way of the wing. Now the wing, we kind of, again, just roll it, spin it in your fingers. And what we're going to do is have it at a 45-degree angle. And what we're going to do then is where the end of where the tail fibers join into the hook and meet the little red butt, holographic butt, right there in between those two, we're going to come straight up and we're going to cut the antron. Okay, everyone see that? Now, and then what we're going to do is, what I like to do now is kind of just massage all those hackles up the way. Just nice and easy, massage them up. Try to get as many up as we can. You're not going to get them all up, but we'll get as many as we can up. And then what we're going to do we're going to go straight in underneath the hook of the fly, coming in with the scissors kind of just half open, and we're going to cut away any fibres we see that are lower than the side of the hook or underneath. There's one more there. Just double check, make sure they're all. Yeah, that's perfect. That's it, guys. That's your little antron wing and your little compare done, blue done hackle. In place, and it's kind of sitting forward as well, as you can see. So that's it. It's a great little fly for the rivers, guys, for the tributaries on the River Nore, all throughout the season. I wouldn't be without them in my box. Definitely have them. You can tie them up again, as I said, with a ginger hackle or a grizzle hackle, or if you can get a blue dun hackle, in sizes 16, 18 and 20s, but 18s and 20s be kind of 18s the go-to size. Great little fly. It's worked wonders for me. I hope you enjoyed tying it. If you have any questions, make sure to give me a shout or touch base with Peter. I'll pass on the details to Peter for it anyway. So I hope you enjoyed the rest of the evening watching the rest of the show. I hope it's a good one. Hope you all learn a few bits. Best of luck out there on the river and the lakes for the new season. And stay safe and enjoy. So tight line, guys. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
So there we have it. Wow, well done, Mark. Top tying there, top little pattern. I know I fished that pattern. Mark's tied it for me a few times, and I fished it, and definitely is one for the box. These are going to have plenty of full boxes this season going out to the river with all these great patterns. But no crapping aside. It's fantastic. Like, you know, John Walsh wants someone in a size 50 or Mark. You can do them then, Mark. Mark does an awful lot in the shop here, guys, as well. A lot of these have come across him. He works here in Pescari Fly with me. We're partners in Pescari Fly, if anyone doesn't know. And he's a great guy, and be lost without him. And sure, we all know he's a bit crack too. So we have a good time here when we get together in Pescari Fly, when restrictions allow us to meet up and put in a day's work together and stuff like that. But really good pattern there. And Mark actually kindly gave us a couple of those. I have them on the card here. For you can see there's 3 of them. He gave us 5, but 2 just happened to go missing. So I don't know where they're gone. But anyway, look at I still have 3 left. They got to my box. I needed a few for the season. But anyway, we got 3, and you can just see some of the other flies there I have for tomorrow's winner. So tomorrow's question, that's going to be based on tonight's show. Very simple question, as I always do on Sunday morning / afternoon, whenever I get around to it. And the first answer in on that post wins the selection of flies sent out to him, same as every other week. Dave, did we get a winner Yeah, Tom Anchor tells the story box. I know where they are, Tom. Row 10, three flies across. But well done, Mark. Really appreciate it, bud, and fantastic to share that pattern with us. I know that's one of your favourite patterns and has done you proud over the couple of years. So thanks for sharing that. Fantastic. Dave, have we a winner of the prize, our spot prize for the trivia quiz? If you have, will you just put it up there? I want to share the prize and stuff and find out who's won that. So we got one more flight to go, folks, and this one is, as you can see, a jig nymph with a 4mm slotted bead. That's a size 14. I have in the voice there, and so Grange Burns in one there. Thanks a million for that, Dave. Grange, what I've got for you is I've got caddy, a syndicate caddy, beer caddy there. Keep your hands warm during the summer while you're drinking those cold beers out sitting on the outside the house or wherever you drink your cool beers. So that's for you. And I got a lovely leader box for you as well. Okay, so that's the leader box we have in the shop. Open it up. You got lovely foam spools in there. Allows you to wrap all your pre-made leaders and stuff like that. That's going to be on the way to you on Monday morning, and I'll give you a shout there tomorrow at some stage to get your address and stuff. But Colin Healy wants to know there, can you use hen hackle on dries, or does it always have to be a cock hackle? It's there is some hackles that I will use a kind of a cocky hen or a henny cock, Colin. But not, yeah, look, at the hackle supports the fly. It depends on what you want the hackle to do. Now if you were tying an F fly and it's the wing that's going to support the hackle, well then and you wanted to put some leggy features on the front of that fly, well then you will get away with a hen hackle. But if you need the hackle to support the fly, well then you have to use cock hackles. I hope that is some kind of way of understanding to you, Colin. But that's my take on it. So anyway, we're going to tie my take on the very, very famous Czech threaded nymph. Okay, what a nymph! What a nymph! Has probably won countless world championships for the Czechs. Fantastic. Nymph, very versatile pattern. Really good early season pattern as well. So definitely one that she should be tying within the next couple of weeks, or for those lucky fellas and girls that are down south or up around northeastern area where the rivers are open a bit earlier, you should be tying the next couple of days. So this is my take on it. This is the pattern that I've kind of used over the years that has really worked well for me when I'm looking to fish something similar. And I'm going to tie that for you there now. So say I got a jig size 14 here. I'm going to tie large because whoever wins this fly tomorrow will want it for the first start of the season. Okay, so a bit of Kevlar on there, and we're going to tie in a little partridge tail to start with. So I got a little bit of grey partridge. And I'm going to tie a nice little chunk of a tail. And there on top. By the way, this video will be up on YouTube tomorrow at some stage in the morning as well, or mid-afternoon, whenever I get around to getting it up. And hi to all our YouTubers. I do forget about you every Saturday night. There's a certain amount of people that can't actually watch the show on Saturday night due to family commitments and different things like that. But hi to all our YouTubers. Hope you are all keeping well. I know you miss out on all the prizes and stuff. But great to have he's watching all the same. And what I'm going to add in here for a secondary tail, I've got a little bit of angel hair, and this is the raspberry angel hair by Sabaya. Okay. So I'm going to add in a little bit of angel hair into that tail. You can see it's a really fine. Now you can't really see that UV glint that I'm seeing, okay? But you can see a little bit more there when it's against my hand. It's a lovely little UV glint against that. It's a real fine material. I'm going to put a tiny pinch of that into the tail as well. Okay, so this is my take on the threading knit. This is what I've used over the last number of seasons since I got shown it. I'm just going to break that away and break that away. I'm not going to overpower that tail with angel hair, but I'm going to put it just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of a, kind of just mix it in there a bit with that nice partridge tail as well. Get all them back. Just a little bit of sparkling there. Now, for the rib here, the rib is, that I use, is Glow Bright number 4 and Glow Bright number 1. Okay? So I take 2 strands, I need 2 strands of Glow Bright number 4. So I cut off decent enough length, Glow Bright number 4. I double it up. Leave that down there. And I take 1 strand of Glow Bright number 1, which is pink. Okay, similar-ish enough length. So now I've got 3 strands of Globe, as you can see. Okay, and I'm going to tie them in there. Really good fly, not only, for grayling as well as trout. Now I was going to say not only for trout, but for grayling, for anything that swims in the river, really. It'd be right up there with like sort of red tag and stuff like that. So now, as for next week, I'm still toying with a couple of ideas. Next week it's going to be a bit more kind of. I'm going to set a bit of a week for next week. Now, if anyone does have any suggestions, by all means, shoot them across. But I have been asked an awful lot over the last 3 weeks to cover a lot of stuff. Like it's fantastic how many is come on during the week and ask me to cover stuff, and I want to try and get through as much as we can before we do get into that unfortunate time where I'm not going to have the live stream on a Saturday night. We will be taking a break during the fishing season, and we will be back next. There's no question about it. Definitely next winter, I will be back. I probably will do some pop-up tying sessions during the summer months. I might even do some. I was talking to Mark about it. If restrictions and stuff allow us to, we might even do a few live sessions directly from the river, in the middle of the river, actually when we're fishing. And if you don't catch them live, well, then you'll catch them on YouTube. But during the fishing season, we will be taking a little break, and I'm just going to wind up some hare's ear here. I'm going to take a little break from the live shows, and we will be back in September 100% with our live shows again to get us through the winter months next year. But look, there'll be a few times along during the summer, spring months that because of lockdowns and stuff like that, won't be much happening. And we'll come on and we'll keep you entertained as best we can. But it certainly won't be every Saturday night. As the evenings get longer and stuff like that, we all have things, family commitments and things like that, and it's something that we'll just keep for the winter months when we all are sitting around the winter evenings looking for a bit of tying and a bit of inspiration too. So what I'm doing here is I'm just spinning those 3 colours. Okay, just spinning them a bit in my hands, just making them nice and tight, and I'm going to wind this up the body. And you get this lovely hot pinky reddish kind of colour going up the body, and tie it off. But as always, during the fishing season, guys and girls, if anybody ever has any questions, or anything they want to discuss, or anything they're doubtful about buying gear or fly tying or fly fishing, pick up the phone and give us a ring. The phone is always on there during opening hours, and we're always more than willing to help you out as best we can. And if we don't have the answer for you, we'll find out who does, and we'll put you in touch with them. So never be stuck with a question or a concern. Give us a shout, and we'll get back to you. So there we go. There's the body. Brushed out that bit of hare's ear just to cloak over that lovely bright rib. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little hackle into that. Okay. Yeah, Neville Howard. Yeah, imagine the cursing. Yeah, we're definitely going to do at some stage along the way live from the river. I think it'll be a bit of fun. We've talked about it a bit. Where we'll just do a live, a 1 or 2 hour. We'll pick a piece of water when I got someone with me, and we can talk about then. It won't be competition mode, so I won't have to focus as much as I would during a tournament or like say Fly Fish Live or something like that. And I'll be able to really talk you through what I'm doing on the river on that particular moment in time as I make my way up to the river. So that's something we're definitely going to organise come this springtime at some stage, and say anyone that can't watch it live, because obviously it'll be done during the day and people have to work and stuff like that. Gianluca, very good point. Never spin glow bright with your hands. Why is that, Luca? Because the oils and the dirt in your hands change the colour. Okay, you should or just have a damp cloth nearby you and wipe your hands clean, your fingertips. Okay, so what I've got here now is I got some partridge and I got some CDC. Okay, and I'm just lining them up together, and I'm going to put them into my bull clip. So just bear with me a second till I line these up and put them into my bull clip. It's just taking one side of the partridge, I've straightened them all out directly off the stem of the fly, and I'm going to just get them into my bull clip. I'm going to try and just give you some kind of a visual on that there. Don't need much. So I got 2 partridge feathers, and I got a one CDC. Once I got them in there, I trim away the sections I don't want, and leave everything there that I do want. Okay, so we've got a bit of partridge and a bit of CDC in there. And we're going to split our trade as usual when we're doing it. Dubbing brush. I'm going to add that in there between our two segments. Bit of tension on that trade when you add it in. And then we're going to do our usual spin. Let the thread spin well. I'm keeping a good pinch on that thread with the finger, as you can see. Not allowing, even though the thread bobbin below my fingers is spinning away, I'm not allowing that spin come up yet, because as you know, you may or may not have found out that if you don't pinch it and hold the spin, you can't control it like that, nice and slowly. If you do it any other way, what will happen is all them feathers will just fall out of the ground. Okay, because it'll be just too much bouncing and jumping around. So a couple of spins there to get a nice, what I'll do once I got a couple of spins, I'll just tease out some of those partridge feathers to get a nice length on them. And just pull them down the hook sleeve. Just spread them out nice and evenly so I can get one or two nice wraps. Nice even wraps around the fly. So we get a nice even cloak around the fly. Just still spinning again. And I say, don't forget, next week we got a real cracker of a guest hire on for you. An international angler, not from Ireland, world-class fly fisher, and he's going to be tying us a fly next week. Not giving away what the fly is, right? But really looking forward to that. So don't miss next week. It's going to be another great week. As we head into mid-February, unbelievable, we're in February already, guys. It's amazing. It's amazing where that year has gone. Unbelievable. Six Nations started. Big game tomorrow. Really looking forward to it. Hope Ireland get off the blocks well, and be great to set up a good championships. So, going to take that now. As you can see, got a nice Dublin brush there. Mix of CDC and partridge. Looks really, really good. And I'm going to just put that in there behind that. Lovely. Couple of turns between the bead and the hackle. Push all them back. Maybe I could have done with a little bit less on it, but it's still okay. Still quite happy with it. It's a 4mm. It's beefy. It's gonna get down. Going to take a little bit of hairline peacock dubbing. And it's going to put a little peacock dubbing in there. Very nice soft tackle. Lots of nice movement on that there now. A little bit just in behind that bead. Lots of nice movement on the hackle. A little bit of flash showing up there from that raspberry angel hair. That's a Sabaya angel hair. Whip finish. Good pull down that Kevlar. Tighten everything off. Take it away. And I just stroke everything back over the bead. And I'm basically just digging out some of that peacock hackle we did there. And then once I've satisfied I got enough out there, I'll then push back all them hackles and little bits of dubbing back over the fly. And there we have it. That's my take on the Czech threaded nymph. Not the original pattern, but one that has served me well over the last number of years. Really good early season fly. Good, tied on a 4mm there. Really, really good. Very natural. Little bits of colour here and there. Really one worth having there now for springtime. Definitely going to catch us a few fish. Nice simple tie. Really, really, really good one to have. So there we have it, folks. We're 25 past 10 already on a Saturday night. Hard to believe. Another Saturday night over. God damn it, anyway. I'd keep going here for hours if if I thought you would keep listening to me. I love these Saturday nights. They're very old crack, and enjoy the chat and a bit of company from you all, and appreciate you all. Sit here and listen to me babble on for 2 hours every Saturday night. But I really hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed our guest hire. I hope you enjoyed our tackle talk. We're already plotting and planning for next week. And thanks Neville, thanks John, thanks Declan, thanks Alan. Really appreciate everyone coming on, commentating, contributing, and all your support throughout the weeks and months, guys, is greatly appreciated with our little shop here at the Scary Fly. You'll find us online at www.scaryfly. We carry a very specialised range of stuff. All selected. Our kind of motto in our business is that if we don't use it ourselves, we won't sell it. So everything we use, we can stand over. We can give you a full rationale where we do it, and that's the way we like to do it. Keep it. That we sell good quality products at a good price. So look, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Best luck to Ireland tomorrow. Hope everyone has a good week. We'll see you back here next Saturday night at 8:30. Thanks to everyone for the contribution and comments and stuff like that. Don't forget, if you need anything, check out www.scaryfly.com, and watch out for the quiz in the morning. At some stage tomorrow, I will post up a simple question based on tonight. The winner will win those card of flies and Mark's 3 little nymphs. I don't think I'm going to be able to find the other 2 or 3 he tied, wherever they're gone. But there's a nice little card of flies that'll be up tomorrow for someone. Tonight's prize winner I'll contact you tomorrow and get your prize off to you. But once again, thanks everyone for the support. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the night. And enjoy the rest of your Saturday night, folks. And I'll see you all next Saturday night. Thanks a million. Stay safe, everyone. And don't forget to enjoy the snow.